Okay, today in 5.4 we will solve equations using multiplication and division. So if we are going to have a multiplication property of equality, that means we are going to be using what operation to solve the equation? It says it right in the name, doesn't it? We're going to use multiplication. So if we're using multiplication, we know that multiplication undoes what operation? Division. So that's why we see division in the original equation. And we want to solve for x. If we want to solve for x, another way of saying that is isolate x, get it all by itself. X is being divided by a. What's the inverse of dividing by a? Anyone? Multiplying by a, that's right. We're going to multiply both sides of the equation by a. And when we do, you can see a over a equals 1. So we have 1x equals b times a. We multiplied the right side by a as well. And so as a rule, we can say x equals b times a. Now recall, whenever we have a denominator that's a variable in a math expression, like this, there's a, it's a denominator, it's a variable. What one number may a never be? 0, because if under there we have 0, what do we call that? Undefined. Under, undefined. If 0 is under, it's undefined. Okay? So that's why you see that in the rules. So let's try this with real values. 21 equals x over 9. Again, fractions are simply what operation? Division. So we're dividing by 9. The inverse of dividing by 9 is? Do it. Multiply both sides by 9. And 9 over 9 equals 1. We allow the 1 to be invisible, don't we? 1x. 1x equals, what is 9 times 21? 189. Good. What will we multiply both sides by, Ryan?
8.
Good. And what did you get then? A equals what?
I got 32, sorry.
32. Good job. A equals 32. Remember, you could always take your solution, 32, plug it back into the original equation, which is in black, right? 32 divided by 8, is that 4? It is. So you can check. You should know. Pause the video, try these, and come back and okay, so we have x is 49, and then we have b is 36. The division property of equality. Well, if we're going to have the division property, we're going to be using division. So in our rule, we see the inverse of division, which is multiplication. Ax equals b. We have multiplication, a times x. We are trying to isolate x. So see if you can complete this rule on your own. Try to isolate x. If we're going to get x alone, what are we doing to both sides? What do you think? Right? By? Will that get x alone if I divide both sides by b? No, we actually, well, good job. We would divide by a, right? A over a equals 1. So if we divide both sides by a, and once again, the denominator may not equal 0. This looks like it shifted a bit when I opened it this year. Sometimes that happens. Then a over a equals 1, so we could say x equals just b over a. Let me fix the formatting here. There we go. Looks better. Okay, so remember, sometimes people use the word canceling. When you have a over a, they say you cancel the a's. But in this case, with multiplication and division, what does canceling mean? A over a equals 1, right? With addition and subtraction, a plus negative a equals 0, and people will use that word canceling there too, right? So you have to be careful, what operation are you using? Oh. Okay. 9x equals 54. So of course a fifth grader, third grader could tell me the answer to this, but a third grader doesn't know how to transform equations. So what are we going to do to both sides, Cami?
You're gonna divide 9.
You're going to divide both sides by 9. That's the operation. Good. And you end up with
6.
x equals 6. Do you see, when you were in third grade, did you ever write it as x equals 6? Or did you just say 6? 6. I mean, it's a fact family. It was part of your tables. So the left side is the hardest side here, even though it's so simple looking. You are using the same operation on both sides. Okay, so Gabrielle, how would we transform this? Good job. So divide both sides by 7. And what do you have then?
4.
And don't forget to say y equals 4, the whole equation. I mean, not just 4 by itself, but y equals 4. You got 2 more, try them, and come back and check your work. And who would like, okay, so we have 7 and 8. If you need to see these answers, I hope you agree, these are good answers. And so you can see this is not any different than 6th grade. What is different is you're going to face more decimals and fractions and, of course, negatives in this assignment today.